It is week 4 of PFR on Lakeshore Public Television. Tonight we get you ready for week 4 of the high school football season. High school football season. As we got some more showdown games tomorrow, Wayne, in conference play.
Had a good week last week. I mean, there were a number of competitive games,
Yes.
surprises. We talked about earlier in the season the parity throughout the region showed up last week.
It did, and we have a bunch more games that we don't know who's going to win coming up tomorrow night. We'll talk about those, have Wayne's picks later coming up on the Prep Football Report.
Who is the dark afraid of? His name is Tim. When you report a power outage, Tim and linemen like him respond to the call. Text OUT to 444-111 to report an outage. With your cell phone, when the power's out, power is still in your hands. Support for PFR and PFR Scoreboard is provided by Geminis, partnering for the future.
All right, it is week 4 of the high school football season, ready to get started. And before we do that, as always, we look back on week 3, Wayne. Some of the top stories from week 3 was Michigan City's big win.
Wow, Portage's surprising upset.
Yeah.
And then the close game with LaPorte and Valpo.
LaPorte's last-second win over Valparaiso. All right, let's take a look back at PFR Rewind for week 3 of the high school football season. right, great edition of PFR Rewind for week 3 of the high school football season. Now it's time for our players of the week. Let's start, Wayne, by going, as we always do, with offense.
Well, we had a lot of people to pick from this week, for our players of the week, Joe. And certainly Anthony Machia from Portage, the big upset of Lake Central. And maybe I shouldn't be saying it's an upset. I mean, they beat Lake Central.
They don't
last
think
year.
it's an upset.
They don't think it's an upset, but they had an outstanding game there. Cameron Wright, he had he's a sophomore. He had a great game offensively. He had 4 TDs. Yeah, he had 4 picks, but he has a lot of confidence in himself, and so does Coach Seitz have a lot of confidence in him. And then Mickey Wolf, he's been really good all season long.
Yeah,
this was one of his better games against Griffith, really putting the ball on the money. And then Andrew Jumonville,
great game as well.
Wow, I mean, he has matured. He has really taken over that team. And, boy, at Highland, he was just dynamic.
All right, how about some defensive players of the week?
You got to recognize Michigan City's defense. The second week in a row that they had a shutout. I mean, how many years has that been since they did that? That's amazing. There's Stewart.
Evan Stewart.
You have to give him credit. I mean,
Definitely.
he had 3 picks. 2 of them were pick sixes. And then Jackson Stevens from Wheeler also had a really nice game, and he had a pick there.
Special teams player of the week.
Hey, you got to go with Clemens from Morton. He had a 72-yard punt return and 3 total TDs against Clark.
All right, the most important award, obviously, the unknown player of the week.
Trevor Espavarnik from Lowell, and that's a mouthful. 167 yards and 4 TDs against KV.
Peyton Hinkle of Wheeler.
Boy, he had a nice game also, 172 yards and 3 TDs against Bishop Knoll. And then you're looking at Vince Lingen.
102 yards.
102. 2 TDs against Lake Station.
Yeah, those last two came out of the blue, really.
Yes,
to be
they
unknown,
really did.
and that's what it is. Now they're famous.
Yeah, that's right.
They are unknown players of the week. Time for this week's poll. We'll start with the Little Five. Hanover, number 1 in the Little Five.
Undefeated so far this year, and I don't know who makes these polls, but I don't know how they were forgotten the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
That's
obviously.
me. I'm sorry. But 3-0, Wheeler and North Newton, Knox and Rensselaer, all 2-1 on the season.
All right. How about the big boy poll? Time for the only poll that matters, the PFR Top 10. Bricky's back in the top 10. They had a nice performance against Griffith. I thought that was a game that could go either way.
Yeah, I really did too. And
LC getting ready to leave the poll unless they can pull an upset.
boy, I
this
guess they're struggling right now, and it's in the 4th quarter. Both against Lincoln Way Central and against Portage. In the last 2 or 3 minutes, Lake Central had the lead, and they just couldn't hold on.
Valpo's lost to two difficult opponents, Penn and LaPorte. They had a good offensive performance against LaPorte,
Yes, they did.
but couldn't hold on at the end.
Yep. And Crown Point also had a good defensive, game early in the game. Now, all of a sudden, Maryville just kind of broke them down and started to score points. But their defense is still pretty good.
Portage with a nice jump in the poll.
Yes.
You gotta like that. I like that.
I really
Rewarded.
thought that they deserved it. Not
2
only
and 1.
I'm sorry, yeah, 2-1. Not only did they, defeat Lake Central, a really good team we thought at the beginning of the year, and they're still probably very good. But also, being 2-1 at this particular point, playing 2 nice games, they deserve to be in the top 5.
And the number 1 team, there you see Whiting and LaPorte. Number 1 team is Michigan City.
Right.
Undefeated, 2 straight shutouts for Coach Phil Mason. What a start they've had to this season.
I know, and number 2 is Laporte, and I just want to mention in that one, they went into Valparaiso. Valparaiso has a very good defense. They went into Valpo and really just ran the ball down the field consistently. And then you got to mention Nolan Lawrence, the quarterback. He was 10 for 10 on passes.
They had some very long, methodical drives the entire night.
Yes, they did.
They didn't have big plays, but they didn't need them. They were able to wear their defense down and methodically go down the field with some controlled drives in order to win the football game.
That's going to bode well for them this
I think
season,
so.
I'll tell you.
Now, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we will have our game of the week for this week, and then Wayne's picks coming up next on PFR.
For more information on everything Prep football, visit us on Facebook or on Twitter at PFR Sports.
All right, ready for our game of the night for tomorrow night. I just want to add real quick before we get off Laporte. They're now in 6A, though.
Yes.
Which is going to be rough for them in the postseason. They were in 5A, of course, when they went to the state finals. But Michigan City is in the top 10 now in the state rankings in 5A.
5A, okay.
So they're doing very well. Whiting's actually, I think, number 1 in the coaches poll for 2A. So, all right, time for our game of the night, Wayne. There's a lot of good games, but the one we've selected was Maryville at Portage.
That's going to be a good game. I really think that you've got an offense that really at this point, other than Penn, really hasn't been stopped very much. Wright is gaining confidence. And certainly Maryville is going to have to, their defense is going to have to stop Maceo. They run
Anthony
that option.
Maceo has been outstanding the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Really, he's been the difference in the win at Lowell, in the win last week. He's just been lights out.
Yes.
Obviously, the big field goal by Gonzalez against Lowell, but Anthony Maceo has been outstanding. And he's been connecting on some passes.
Yes, he has.
So Maryville defensively is going to have their hands full trying to slow him down.
And they run the option so very well. When you have a quarterback that was really a halfback that would turn into a quarterback who can also throw the ball a little bit, and that's Maceo. That's a real strong option. So the defense from Maryville is going to have to react and understand and take those two options, the pitch and the quarterback read, away from them.
These two teams are familiar with each other because they played last year after Portage. They played twice last year after Portage upset Lake Central in the sectional. It was Maryville that beat Portage the following week. So these two teams very familiar with each other, and this will be, the winner will have a little bit of an advantage going forward in the Duneland. Based on the fact that they'd be 2-0, they would still have to play the balance of their schedule with Michigan City also looking as a co-favorite. But whoever wins this game, and if Portage beats Maryville, then they're no longer upsetting people. They've earned the right to be the favorite in a lot of these games.
That's right. Yeah, I think Portage, their biggest test is going to be off defensively, trying to contain Wright. As the weeks go on, Cameron gets stronger and stronger, and maybe now he's approaching that area where he's not playing like a sophomore. He's playing like somebody who's been out there.
Well, they're going to have to control Kirkland. Kirkland's been a tremendous factor for them on the outside. Kirkland had a tremendous game, 3 touchdowns against Crown Point. So that's somebody that defensively Portage is going to have to dial in on and try to maybe take away from Maryville. James Kirkland's had a tremendous start to the season. So you like Maryville?
Yeah, I do. It's on the road, I know, but I just think that the quickness, especially at the receiver spots, and the the offensive line of Maryville might be just a little bit better. I'm not sure about Maryville's defense. They're going to give up some points. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I think that they can give up, not a real big total on defense and still outscore Portage.
Yeah, Maryville showed last week they can overcome the turnovers too.
Yes.
That they made.
Yes.
All right. Interesting enough, Wayne. Last week when I was 2-0, we didn't have a graphic for the records. But this week I'm 0-2, and interesting enough, we have a graphic to show the records.
Isn't that wonderful?
I don't know how that worked out that way, but all
Well,
right.
that's okay. I'm not bragging because I was 11-7 again. So, my record wasn't very good
What's your
whatsoever.
percentage for 2 weeks there?
I think it's around 58 to 60. I think
not
maybe
very good.
60, yeah.
You're supposed to be over 70%.
Yeah, yes, that was always restated over and over again on the shows.
I just wanted to mention it again this year.
Oh, good. Bring that
I'm
up
supposed to
again.
be over 50. You're supposed to be over 70. Okay, that's because I'm picking the games after you pick them. So my scale's a little
That's
lower.
a little lower.
All right, time for all the picks coming up on Wayne's World. All right, let's get started with the Doolin, shall we?
Yes, start with the Doolin right off, and there's a lot of good games this week
Yeah,
throughout
there
the
is.
conferences,
There's
not
a
just
lot
in the
of,
Doolin.
A lot of picks for you to get wrong out there.
Yeah. This first game, this is a big rivalry, Lake Central and Crown Point. Very close to one another in schools, and I really think that going to Crown Point and facing that defense could give a struggle here.
I imagine it's been a long week of practice for the Blue Indians
Oh, yeah.
after the last two losses.
I'm sure that Brad Stewart has some words to say about Lake Central's defense last week.
In fact, the check mark is coming out and picking Lake Central to beat Crown Point.
At home, you're picking Lake Central. Lake Central's on the road, so
Yeah.
Crown Point is at home.
Why
You're
Lake
picking-
Central? Because they're looking to bounce back from 2 straight losses. And I just think Crown Point may have a hard time containing all of those offensive weapons that LC has. And LC has a lot of them.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And Maryville had a lot of weapons. Lake
Right.
Central's got a lot of weapons. Similar. And I think LC bounces back and beats Crown Point this week.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, we'll see. The
I
check
like
mark.
that second game there in Valpo and Michigan City. I mean, you're talking about,
Yeah, you like Michigan City.
I do like Michigan
So do
City
I.
on that one. And, City is at home here, but Valpo has a very good defense. We'll
Yes.
see if
And their
McCullough
offense
and
was
Hurt
good last week.
and Kane Vasey can, make a dent in that Valpo
Right.
defense.
All right, elsewhere, we saw him briefly there. You like Maryville over Portage and LaPorte over Chesterton.
Yeah, I really think that the LaPorte's very strong this year. And it's at LaPorte. And I think Chesterton is going to find that LaPorte's defense is a little too tough.
Northwest Crossroads.
I like Hobart. I really liked them last week against Griffith, even though I picked Griffith. I like them
Funny
this
how that
week.
works.
I like Lowell to get back on the track, and over at Griffith. It's at Griffith, and this is going to be a good game. I think I'm going to see this one. And I like Munster over Andrean.
Yeah. I have to pick 2 games.
Yes, you do.
Okay, I have to pick 2 games.
Yes, you do.
And I wasn't sure which other game to pick.
You could pick 3, but you have to pick 2.
I have to go with the Niners.
Really?
Yeah.
The 59ers at home against
Right.
Munster.
Yeah, I'm going for the home field with Andrean for the red check mark. I like Andrean, the fact that I think this is going to be a very competitive game.
Yes, I do
first of
too.
all.
I do too.
It's going to go either way,
Right.
obviously. Munster with a great performance against Highland. But I think this is pretty evenly matched. And, Andrean coming off the tough loss at New Prairie where they played pretty well.
Yes.
I got to go for Andrean. They looked as like my best pick there. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I think I screwed that up, Wayne.
Oh?
I
wanna
didn't
take that
pick.
back?
I didn't pick Andrean. But you know what? I will step out and do it right now.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Since you want me to take 3, I'll take 3. Sorry, guys. I'll take 3. I'm going for Andrean. I had 3 in my mind, and the third one was the Andrean game. I'm going to take the Niners. So I'll go with 3 this week because
I think that's a good, good pick.
You were teasing me to take
Yes,
a
I
third
was.
game over
Yes,
there.
I
Yeah,
was.
okay. I knew exactly what you were doing. You were trying to taunt me to take a third game. So I will take a third game. All right, how about the Great Lakes Conference?
I like Gavin. I really do. They're at home. They were off last week. They had a bye week, and no fault of their own. And
Yes.
so I
like
like
Morton?
them over East Chicago. I like Morton over Hammond. They had a nice win
And
last
Highland to
week.
rebound.
And Highland to rebound against Clark. Yes.
All right, my third game was East Chicago.
Really, you're going with
Yeah.
the
I'm going with the Cardinals. I like the
Okay.
Cardinal defense. It's been impressive. Gavin had the off week. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. I think just like Munster and Andrean, this will be a very, very, very competitive game.
I think so too. I think it'll be very competitive. But I think that Gavin played very well against Whiting.
They did.
And
East Chicago
Whiting had to struggle.
East
He win.
Chicago played very well against Lafayette.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
So I'm going with the
All right.
Cardinals
Okay.
on that one. I think that they're again, it can go either way, but I'm taking EC. How about the Greater South Shore, Wayne?
On this one, I like Boone, even though Lake Station has played fairly well. I do like South Central to bounce back, and I like Whiting over Wheeler. But this is not going to be a blowout. Wheeler played pretty well last
We
week.
missed a couple there. We missed Calumet, North Newton, and Hanover Central River Forest.
Okay, maybe
I think
that's
that's
the
going
next
to be
graphic.
that'll be a big test for Wheeler
Yeah.
at Whiting. We'll see how that
Yeah.
one goes. Boone Grove over Lake Station.
Yep.
I gotta agree with that pick. There
There
you
you
go.
got,
You like North Newton?
I want North Newton over that one, even though Calumet did get their first win last week. Hanover Central, #1 in the Little Five, so I think they keep rolling on.
That'll be a good game as well. And in the Hoosier,
Hoosier camp, yes, I like Rensselaer over Twin Lakes.
they put a
They're-
spanking on the Jays.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
That was decisive. Okay, so you like Rensselaer over Twin
Right.
Lakes. All right, so you were trying to bait me into taking 3. I did take 3. Let's recap. I have Lake Central, I have Andrean, and I have East Chicago.
East Chicago.
For the red
All right.
check mark.
Now you know you're 500 now.
I'm
2-2.
500, and
So you're going out on a limb
and
here.
you are 60%.
60%.
And you're supposed to be 70.
Right.
I am 50.
Supposed to be over 50.
And I'm supposed to be over 50. Hopefully this week I'll be over 50, and hopefully we'll have a graphic staying that next week. We'll see you folks back there.
I think this is going to be a good week.
I think it will be
really
too.
do.
There's
I
a
think-
lot of competitive games out there. We will see you tomorrow night live, 10:30 PFR Scoreboard right here on Lakeshore Public Television. Good night.
Who is the dark afraid of? His name is Tim. When you report a power outage, Tim and linemen like him respond to the call. Text OUT to 444-111 to report an outage. With your cell phone, when the power's out, power is still in your hands. Support for PFR and PFR Scoreboard is provided by Geminis, partnering for the future. Captioning for PFR and PFR Scoreboard is provided by Voice to Print Captioning, LLC. Wardrobe for PFR and PFR Scoreboard provided by Gosser Corporate Sales Incorporated. Custom embroidery, screen, and digital printing. Further support provided by Fahrenheit 212 Restaurant and Bar.